Hi, everybody, and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine and Rich Pickings with Gavin Rich. I'm Kevin Ferguson. Happy New Year to everybody, and welcome to our first podcast of the year. Gav, how you doing, man? Happy New Year.
Good, thanks. So happy New Year to you too, Kevin. Very good. Lovely at this time of year, and the sun's out, the sun's shining.
A lot's happened, but not in rugby, really. When you look at the year, the landscape of the world with Maduro being extradited from Venezuela.
Yeah, no. Let's not even go there. It's been quite a hectic, but it's been hectic in rugby as well.
Yeah.
And the Bulls have sacked 2 assistant coaches. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has announced that he's going to spend extend his contract for 2 years of the Stormers.
Yeah.
Kolisi's coming.
Rassi signed a contract.
Rassi's signing a contract. There was another one as well. Dobbo.
Double. Double.
Dobbo. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even think I wrote about that because I always took it as a given. I mean, I think everybody knew he was going to be here. I mean, he spends all his time talking about Project 2029.
Well, on that note, Gav, I want to pose a question to you, and I'll throw some stuff out there every once in a while. If you were to vote on the rugby team of the year for last year, who would you vote for?
Well, last year, if you're talking about last year as the calendar year, obviously the Stormers weren't that good before.
Sorry, I knew I asked the wrong fucking question.
If you're talking about the season, if you're talking about the season up to New Year, then I think Cash van Rooyen. Don't worry, I'm not going there. Cash van Rooyen, the Lions coach, might have said it. Is that me? Sorry.
Sorry.
Cash van Rooyen, the Lions coach, might have been onto something when after they lost to the Stormers just before Christmas, which is another thing that happened since we last spoke.
Yeah.
He actually when he was trying to make excuses for the fact that his team lost, he said, "You have to remember that we played against the formed club team in the world today," and they probably are. I mean, I don't know any other team. Toulouse, who are the sort of the mighty Toulouse of Europe, have lost quite a few games this season. Northampton are topping the log in the Gallagher Premiership, but they are also not without blemish. So you would say that to go 10 games across two competitions unbeaten.
Yeah.
And I know that's what you're angling for me to say is.
I'm not angling for anything.
No, but you're not angling for me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
Is that the Stormers probably are the team, if we're talking at club level or franchise level.
Well, I'm talking at my take is that I expected the Springboks to do what they did. I expected them to go 13-2.
Okay, so you're talking about the surprise.
I'm talking about when I had pegged the Stormers as a betting man at the beginning of the year, I would have said 6-4, 5-5. There was nothing about them that would romanticize a 10-0 start.
Exactly.
And then when you look at Double, class guy.
Yeah. I was really quite concerned about the Stormers because they were initially reducing their squad. I mean, there was, and I know Dobbo was a bit concerned that maybe he didn't have enough resources, but I think he's been surprised at how some of the players have come through. I mean, just how good, for instance, Paul de Villiers is. Yuri Matia, the flower half, is starting to mature. The backup flower half. Wanda Sili Similani's playing good rugby, but let's not talk about the backs. It's the forwards. I mean, there was so much coming through at the forwards in the Stormers at the moment, and I think we did speak about in a previous podcast where you asked me what did the Stormers get right. One of the things they did get right was definitely their pre-season.
Yeah, in terms of the Currie Cup.
Yeah, because they're now outmuscling opposition, whereas that would previously outmuscle them. Their mauling has gone through the roof. I mean, their mauling and they're stopping mauls, because at one stage last year they were pretty poor at that. Their defence has improved immeasurably as well. So the Stormers have made huge gains. I mean, they're an object lesson to some of the other teams in South Africa who might have some star players who aren't doing so well.
Yeah, and let me ask you about Sia. Now he's coming back. I don't know when's he playing for the Stormers. I mean,
No, it's like
I'll acquiesce to the powers that be because I don't get it. I wouldn't be bringing him back, but they must have got one hell of a deal on it.
Okay, so Sia will be playing next year. I mean, he'll be a Stormer again from July. So the Stormers play against the Sharks the last 2 games of this month. They play. I think it's a bit crazy because I don't think South African derbies should be played so close together because the guys just kill each other in the field, as you saw this last weekend at Cape Town Stadium.
Brutal, eh?
But the Sia will still be a Shark playing against the Stormers when the Stormers play here on the 24th of January, and then they go to Durban on the 31st, back-to-back games, and then after that, when he from July he'll be a Stormer again. But from what I understand, the deal is he desperately wanted to come home. I know last year the Stormers around the camp I think they took a vote at some point that they didn't want him back. But I think what's happening now is he's coming back. He's not playing that many games. Remember, he's at a stage of his career now that he needs to be managed. So, and I think that actually moving to the Stormers might prolong Sia's career because you get the feeling that the Stormers have now got to the point where they've got enough depth where they don't have to rely on a Sia. They've got. I mean, look, where's he going to fit in? Let's be honest, where is Sia going to fit in to that Stormers starting team?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
You've got to play Paul de Villiers as your number 6.
Yeah.
They say that Keke Marabi, the guy who's injured, who's coming through, is going to be the backup number 6, and they've still got Dion Ferré on their books.
Yeah.
So they've got those guys at number 6. They've got that mould of player at number 6. Then they've got Peter, what's his name, Ben Jason. I was going to say Peter Dixon. Ben Dixon at number 7. He's established there. You're not going to shift Evan Roos. You've got guys like Ruan Ackerman, the bloke, I've forgotten his name now, but he's also a blindside player. They've got so many. Marcel Tennyson. They've got so many loose forwards there, and they sometimes play Connor Evans as a number 7 too. So they've got plenty of loose forwards. So Sia's not in a situation where he's at the Sharks, where I think when Sia's available, they want to play him in every game that they can. Yeah. And he's a guy that probably does need to be managed through to the World Cup. So I think it's a good move for Sia, and it'll be a good move for the Stormers if Sia plays that mentorship role. And let's be honest, I mean, he's very good for the marketing. I mean, to say that you've got the double World Cup winning captain on your books has to be good for marketing as well. So,
well, I don't know exactly. I don't know to be able to formulate an opinion, because the better men than me run the game at Newlands, or at the Cape Town Stadium, and I'd love to know what it is. And I'll have a chat with a couple of the guys in the coming weeks to find out what the reasoning is.
I understand that he's on a deal where he plays 8 games in a season.
Yeah,
and that's I mean, that's just my understanding.
In the Currie Cup.
No, he'll play in the. I mean, the Currie Cup will happen during the Rugby Championship. Yeah. He'll play 8 games a season and that's including like when he comes onto the bench. Yeah. And he is. I mean, if you speak to the Sharks guys, he is hardworking at that level. I mean, he hasn't got the same sort of like.
No, look,
as Sia. I mean, as Urban, there's a lot of people who feel that Urban isn't the same player at franchise level. But I think he topped in the games that he played. He doesn't play every game, obviously, but in the games he played last year, Sia topped quite a lot of the stats for the Sharks. So
I agree.
And we obviously know. I mean, he's got great leadership ability, and. If he's not going to come in and become the new leader to change the culture, because that would be stupid.
No, I think that's
what our concern is.
That's my concern.
Yes,
that's culture. Because
that's my concern too. That would be my concern.
When he left last time, I know they wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah.
In that,
well,
in terms of his expense to the and value to the business. His cost per game.
Okay. Yeah. Which was the same with. Well, Eben was a Stormer a long time ago, so he went to Toulon in the meantime. But
and I picked up as well. Through my sources, that he was a bit pious in terms of guys wanting to have a beer and stuff like that. With that sort of culture, he was against that.
Okay, I'd find that surprising.
So do I. No, but just saying. So as long as it's not a cultural revolution or overhaul.
No, I don't think there will be, and I think when you've got Dobbo in charge, there's very little chance of that. So, so we do know that Peter Steph du Toit wanted to come back. He's been quite desperate to come back for quite a long time. Urban, I don't think that's it's news to anyone that he also would like to be in Cape Town. And now that Sia's back, I'm sure he'll probably be even more eager to be back in the province that produced him. But, the Stormers are very careful, obviously the wage bill, but B, they don't want to upset that culture. There's that culture of the guys all being in it together. And when you've got too many marquee players on your books, and let's be honest, that's what's wrong with the Sharks. When you've got too many marquee players on the books, it's a problem. So the biggest positive thing to happen, not only for the Stormers, but for South African rugby during this period since we last spoken and we enjoyed our Christmas turkey or whatever you did at Christmas time, is
turkey.
Sacha is Sacha signing a 2-year extension till 2029.
Wonderful.
Because we've got the best rugby player. If he isn't already the best rugby player in the world, he will be. And even overseas, some of the overseas scribe now, who used to swear by Antoine Dupont.
But he is the best rugby player.
He is. Well, let's see Dupont play a few games and then we can decide. But I think that definitely in a year from now or 2 years from now, in the next World Cup, he's going to be... He is already a global phenomenon, and for the Stormers to have him on
phenomenon,
for the Stormers to have him on their books, and not just the Stormers to have them on the books, but for South African rugby to have him playing at home, and for the URC to have him in their competition, and actually, let's be honest as well, the Champions Cup. I mean, a lot of overseas people are very sort of unsure about whether South Africa should be part of the Champions Cup, but having somebody like Sacha, who is the new Dan Carter according to everyone, but I think he's probably better than Dan Carter. You've got that guy in your books. So that's just a huge coup. So that was the most positive thing I think that's come out of rugby in South Africa over the last month or so. It's just the fact that he'll be playing it. I know Rassie probably won't care. I mean, the Springboks might prefer him to be in Japan because there's less chance of him being run down and being injured. But to have him here, I mean, we had 55,000 people at the last URC game this last weekend, and when you've got when you've got star quality players playing, that's the sort of turnout that you'll get. I mean, the Bulls had their stars playing as well.
It was a brutal game. But this leads me to the next question. You have an organization like the Stormers, is so well run. They seem to be, from a budgetary point of view, they seem to be very in tune. And to do what they've done this year, 10-0, and then you got the Sharks with all the fanfare, all the big brands, the Ebens, what's the guy's name? We just talked about
Sia Kolisi,
all these wonderful brands, and they're fucking useless.
Well, this is actually you've just nailed it in the head by calling them a brand. Because that's the thing, because the money's the bottom line with, and I don't want to actually look at individuals, but you've got what did those guys go to the Sharks for? They went there for the money. I've heard that Sacha has had offers from elsewhere, which are significantly more.
Of course he has.
Than what the Stormers are offering him. But this is where he was brought up. He likes the culture here, and he's obviously been part of the Springbok camp, so. There's probably Springboks there who talk about the Sharks, and he knows that the Sharks wouldn't be a good place to go.
No, and I'm going to tell you a little story, a little business story. In 2001, I went to Atlanta to recruit a managing director for a listed business that I was working for. And the CEO flew over from London, took me out for dinner, sat down, and it was a bit awkward, because what he was tuning up to was offering me the job, and so he spat it out. I looked at him 2 seconds and just said to him, Ian, they have not printed enough money for me to leave Cape Town. And I mean, that was the quality of life here.
Exactly.
Exactly. It just is amazing.
And then you throw in the mountain, which I can see through the window there. So you throw in the mountain and everything else that's Cape Town's got going to it, and you add to it what Sia didn't really have for much of his career, because Western Province was in a mess. Western Province rugby was in a complete mess for a while before Dobbo came in. It wasn't so much Dobbo. It was when everything changed. When they got SA Rugby came in initially, and rescued Western Province. So they've now got a really well run franchise or club, because they like to. There's a reason why they want to call themselves a club, and I can't remember what it is, but they've become a really well run club, and they've got a superb culture. And they've got a coaching personnel that have been together for quite a while now. There's a lot of succession planning going on. There's a lot of continuity to the Stormers. Whereas you go down to Sharks country, and since John Plumtree was first axed in 2013, they probably had almost as many coaches as they've had years since then. I mean, it was 12 years ago. I mean, you can go through them. I mean, John Smith took over from Brian Van Zyl as the CEO. He immediately axed Plumtree. In came Brad McLeod-Henderson and Sean Everett. Yep. Then they were replaced by Brendan Fenter, I think, for a while. Then it was Gary Gold. Then it was Robert de Preer. Then it was back to Sean Everett. Then it was to Plumtree. Was it to? No, it was to Neil Powell for a while. Then it was. I mean,
didn't Jake White coach them?
And Jake White in 2000. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
Jake White in that one, and he actually had the best year. You know that the Sharks' best year in the last 12 in an international competition, meaning like Super Rugby or URC, was actually 2014. That was the year that they won the South African Conference. And Jake was sacked because the Sharks were playing a rugby that the hierarchy there didn't really agree with. But Jake actually had one of the better records there.
Jake's good at coming in and turning things around, absolutely. But he's just not a stayer.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see him now.
He's more of a fluffer.
He's gone back to. I'm actually pleased in a way to see Jake coaching Selborne next year, because I think Jake getting into. Firstly, it's guys of that age that need the best coaches actually. Like we forget that. Like you've got a guy like Jake coaching you at Selborne. And that gives you a great chance to become a really good player. Yeah. I'd like to see Jake be involved there, but that could actually also help Jake and make him a better coach going forward if he gets a senior role again. I don't know why he'd want to carry on coaching, because I know he's got enough money and he's 61 years old. I think he's 61. He's about a year older than me. Jake. Yeah, I mean. It might be interesting to see what he said, because, I mean, obviously he was involved in schools coaching at the start.
Yeah.
I'd love to actually talk to Jake one day once he's involved at
Selborne.
But we're sort of digressing now. That the Sharks they've had a revolving. They've had their recruitment policy hasn't been very scientific, and actually even in their CEOs. Why was John Smith the CEO? He was the CEO because he'd been a great Springbok captain and a great Sharks captain, not based on anything to do with being a CEO. Then Gary Teichmann, and Gary would be the first, because I know Gary. Gary would be one of the first.
Gary is a lovely.
He's a lovely guy, lovely guy. But he'd be the first to admit that he didn't really understand what the job was about before he took it. And then when he came in, I think he realized that he was a little bit out of date with modern rugby. One of the first things that Gary did when he was there, because Gary Gold was the coach at the time, was wanted to know why you need so many assistant coaches. He said, in my day, Ian McIntosh was the coach and we just had him, which obviously was the amateur era. But the things have changed now. So, and I'm not, and in no way am I saying that the Sharks' problems are Gary Teichmann's.
No. What are the Sharks?
The Sharks' problem was actually the turnover from Brian Van Zyl, who was a proper rugby man, but also a good CEO. I mean, he was approaching a retirement age, but they just rushed that. I mean,
was he there when that person was killed?
He did. So there was an off-field incident that brought a lot of scrutiny on the Sharks, and that made them uncomfortable. But BJ, as we know him, I mean, he's a rugby man through and through, and he ran the Sharks really well. And then he had political enemies within the organisation there, like people always do, and they basically got rid of him without really sort of thinking it through. And then the first day John Smith arrived at the job, he got rid of Plumtree, and Plum was probably.
Was there animosity between those two guys?
There was. I'll tell you what I'll tell you the history between Plum and Smitty was that you'll remember that Bismarck du Plessis also played for the Sharks. And there was the same problem at the Sharks as there was at Springbok level, where Smitty was coming to the end of his career, and Bismarck du Plessis might well have been the best hooker in the world at that particular point. And Peter de Villiers, in my mind, made a mistake by deciding to just carry on with. I think John Smith should have retired from international rugby after the Lions tour in 2009.
Yeah.
But Peter de Villiers kept him on. Look, he was very valuable within that, because Peter de Villiers wasn't a strong coach. So I think that whilst I'm saying that it was a mistake to keep John Smith on. I also know the dynamic there, which was that they needed a strong character. But Victor could probably have done the job. Victor Matfield, he could easily have done that job. So what John Plumtree did was what Peter de Villiers didn't. And there were games where he didn't choose John Smith, or he bought him off early, and there was. I know that there was a fight. There was a big argument between John and the two Johns in a bus after a game at Loftus, where the Sharks beat the Bulls, and apparently John Smith stormed out and went and sat in the bus. And I mean, I'm talking about things I've never actually said publicly or written.
Yeah.
So
well, that's why you're here, mate.
I don't want to get into trouble for it, but but that's obviously the story that I've been told, and that's how it happened. And so there was a fallout between Smith and John Plumtree over rugby issues, which you always will get. If you've got a senior player who's coming to the end of his career and he gets shifted aside for somebody else, there'll always be a little bit of a sort of, we call it animosity, but a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So let's this week.
But just sorry, this to go to the what I call the vacuum of leadership at the Sharks, is that at the end of October, the Sharks weren't doing well, and they said, okay, we've got to be seen to be doing something. What did they do? They made this big statement that John Plumtree would be moving aside. Wouldn't be continuing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
They said he's not going to be continuing at the end of the season, but he will carry on until the end of the season. There were no other changes made. No changes made to the assistant coaches. There was no changes made to the...
Sorry, man. Sorry again.
There's no changes been made to the recruitment department, which everybody involved with the Sharks will tell you is one of their major problems. There were no changes made at all. How did John Plumtree feel when he was told, "Well, you're publicly humiliated because I'm not going to be involved in any"? So then he decided, "I'm going to step aside." But he felt that he wanted a Sharks guy to carry on. So he said, "If I'm going to step aside, I want to step aside for JP Peterson and give him a chance to establish himself." Everything's just been done wrong at the Sharks.
Well, how much responsibility do you think Mazzotti has to take for this?
I think he has to take a lot. Well, the thing is that he's got the money. He's the money man. He's the money man. You're the money man.
I thought I was the money man before Mazzotti.
Okay.
He might have a bit more money than me. That's for sure.
Mazzotti is the money man, but that's what he should stick to being.
It's difficult. It's difficult when you get in
and
you want to
money.
It's difficult. It's like Jerry Jones from the Dallas Cowboys. All these guys that interfere.
Yeah, that's it.
When you're an owner, you have that temptation to interfere, and that's what I see at the Sharks. That it's rudderless.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing. And if I was a Sharks fan, I'm losing to the Lions. I mean, come on, I would have banked that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't bet on it, but I mean, I would have banked it.
Yeah, no.
If I was a Sharks fan, but they're not passionate. Sharks fans aren't passionate, I don't think.
Well, they got a full house for the Bulls game, but you know why? Because they had a concert at the same time, and they sold. Apparently, I mean, I didn't go to that game because I was here at the Stormers game against the Lions that same day. But apparently, even though it was a sellout, there were lots of open spaces in the stands because people had bought tickets
for the concert,
so they could watch Makasa. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a concert, and but you can't do that every week.
No.
I mean, if Marco Mazzotti wants to sort of put musicians on his payroll and say we'll have a concert every week, then maybe it's a going concern, but it's not. I mean, Dobbo said something. John Dobson said something before the Bulls game last week. One of us in the press conference asked him the question, how do you feel about having 55,000 people coming in? He said, obviously it's great, and it shows that the Stormers are supporting everything, and we don't need a sandbar or a swimming pool at the stadium to draw the people, because at Kings Park it's becoming. Look,
but I have to be honest, Gavin. I cannot stand Cape Town Stadium. Maybe from your point of view and your luxury and comfort that you get accustomed to, but as an experience to line up for anything there, for a beer, for a hot dog, for a hamburger.
But did you like Newlands? Did you like Newlands?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I didn't enjoy Newlands.
Okay,
but maybe that's because we have reversed roles now. Because
I had two boxes at Newlands.
Yes, true. I used to go there.
Yes.
And your box was much better than the press box. We would put up when Thello Wakefield was in charge of. I mean, I don't blame poor Thello because it wouldn't have been his decision.
Yeah.
But I remember we used to get given this food, and we used to call it the the Thello Wakefield platter because it was bloody awful, the food that they gave us.
Well, we
were on the 10th floor, and I remember writing a column for the Argus, because I was still doing the odd column for the Argus in those days, and writing about and I said, basically, there are times when I'm worried that we might be in the way of the flight path of a jumbo jet going into Cape Town Airport, because that's how high we were. And it's like, you occasionally sort of have a player who said, "Jeepers, you got that wrong. It wasn't me who missed the tackle. It was someone." I said, "Mate, I was up in space and outer space. No wonder I didn't see. I didn't see."
But it's not just about the food and the experience. It's about the getting to there and leaving. Like I come from
nightmare. It's just an
absolute. I wouldn't. You couldn't have paid me. If you gave me 20,000 rand to go and watch the game, I wouldn't have taken it. Okay. With the front, because as I get older and stuff like that, I become more ornery. I don't want to be in traffic for hours.
I've been there. I'm going there,
and that's where I am with that. But let's dive into. The Sharks are a mess. The Stormers are a success.
At the moment,
the Bulls are a bit of a mess, I think.
I think the Stormers, actually, when you talk about the Stormers being a success, I don't necessarily think they're going to win anything this season, because, there might be Leinster or something in their way later. But I just think in retaining Sacha and the things that are happening, the building blocks that Dobbo is putting in place, I think in a couple of seasons, they're going to be almost impossible to beat. They're going to be a really, really difficult side. They are the future when it comes to the South African franchise, I believe. And especially because I also know what's coming through. I mean, there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but there's a kid here who's just left school, the fly half, and I haven't seen that much of him, but everybody who has seen him play tell me that he's going to be better than Sacha, which is ridiculous.
Wow,
I can't believe that. But
that's huge.
So when Sacha's finished in 2000, and obviously Marcus Muller, he was that big sensation.
How old is Sacha?
Sacha's 23 now.
He's a kid,
So he'll be 27 in 2029. And then I wouldn't blame him if he decided, I want to go and play in France or somewhere where he can earn mega bucks. And then you've got a guy maybe that can replace him. So I think the Stormers, because of where they're in and the way Dobbo has now linked into the lifeblood of Cape Rugby and the resources coming through, I think like we have said about South African rugby before, with the Springboks. Remember, we said, this isn't a flash in the plan. I think that Springboks are going to have sustained success.
Yeah, of course.
I think the Stormers will start getting, but mark my words, note my words. I'm not saying it's going to happen this season, but I think in time we're going to see the Stormers become like the dominant force in South African rugby and retain that position going forward. Just because the management is now right. Where for a long time they had the noose around their neck because of the very poor administration. That administration has been removed now, and I think that the Stormers are going well. So the Bulls, I'm actually not. The jury's out on the Bulls, because I just think that maybe Ackerman needs time to settle.
Well, it's certainly proving so, right?
Yeah, he needs time to settle. He needs to get the top players playing together on a weekly basis so they can get some kind of cohesion. I wrote a preview to it's a pity we didn't do a show before that weekend of rugby. Or did we do it? Because I know on my online preview I predicted a Sharks win against the Bulls in Durban on the basis of cohesion. Yeah, because I said that it was the Bulls lack cohesion at the moment. The Sharks have just a little bit more cohesion because they played against Saracens the week before,
which is unbelievable because the Sharks have
very little cohesion.
Yeah,
but I think the Bulls are going to get more cohesive now. So they, if they. They're a dangerous team because
who, the Sharks?
No, the Bulls. Because they've got all those top players on their books.
Yeah,
they could end up coming to Cape Town at the end of the season to play a playoff game. Remember, the Stormers could finish first and the Bulls finish 8th, and you play a quarterfinal here, and the Bulls could come here and win. They're good enough to do that. So that's why I'm very reluctant to write off the Bulls. The Sharks, I don't know. They just it's almost like the guys when they pull on that jersey, they just don't. Some of the Bulls, when they pull on the Bulls jersey, they still play like Springboks.
Well, that's a great point, actually, because when you think about it, when you look at the old Sharks, the Teichmans, and there was a cohesion to Natal-based players.
Yeah.
There's not really any more. I mean, Esterhazen, where's Esterhazen?
Well, you see, okay, so Esterhazen is from the Val Triangle. He's from up there, so up in the north. But he came through the Sharks age group. So he's been there since he was a kid. I know he went to Harlequins for a while, but so he will have that sort of loyalty to the Sharks because he has spent his formative years there. And the other one is Ethan Hooker. And Pepsi Buthelezi as well, to an extent. Those guys,
it's not as if they don't have some talented players.
You watch the Sharks play, and often it is those guys like Esterhazen or Ethan Hooker who went to school there. And you look at the Stormers. You've got Sacha who wants to stay here, not for money, but obviously because he just loves it. He's from
Cape Town is one of those.
Damien Willemse turned down the Bulls a couple of years ago. You don't get Cape players who are playing in the first team. I mean, obviously somebody like Namakaba, who wasn't from here anyway, he was at school at Glenwood, but somebody like Namakaba went to the Bulls. Somebody like Paul de Vet went to the Bulls because he had other players in front of him. But you won't get guys leaving here to go and play somewhere else in South.
There's a certain value to being in Cape Town, which to sign a contract in Cape Town, you might be willing to take 10 or 15, 20% less money to do so.
Yeah,
because of the lifestyle,
But also, like what I'm talking about is that commitment to the jersey. That some of them wore. It's like Simon Marat, for instance, played Western Province primary schools probably, and so did Damien, and then they played Western Province schools together, and they played Western Province under 20 together. So there's that linkage, if you know what I'm saying. Which the Sharks don't have a lot of at the moment because they've gone out with a checkbook and brought marquee players in who are there because of the money, really.
They try to slap a Band-Aid on a big problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they're reaping the reward. Now I've got the producer over there yawning and like going and checking the camera and stuff. So we must be dragging.
He's gone to sleep, I think. Anyway,
I think he's playing Candy Crush now. Let's get into it then.
Yeah.
We got the Investec Cup. Champions Cup. Sorry, apologies. What's your take on? Let's go through it. We got the Stormers playing who?
The Stormers are away this week to Harlequins in London, and that's going to be a very interesting one.
Lots of problems with the Harlequins right now. A statement issued by the CEO and chairman that this is not the type of rugby they play. I mean, they've taken a panel beating in the last couple of games, I think.
Yeah, and they're eighth in the Premiership.
Yeah.
They're okay in the Champions Cup at the moment. They've got 6 points. The Stormers have got 9. So if they beat the Stormers at the weekend, they'll go past the Stormers in Pool 2, I think it is, that they're in. So it is a big game for the Stormers, but the Stormers are playing against Leicester here next Saturday. So it's a Sunday game. So this is the key thing. It's a Sunday game, which means that the Stormers would have...
Is it a Sunday game?
Yes, it's a Sunday game. It's 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So it means that the Stormers face that situation where if they sent their full strength team, then there would be only a 6-day turnaround before they play Leicester Tigers.
Yeah.
So they're not playing all their top players, but they are playing. I think Damien Willemse is going. I think that Warwick Gallant is there. We've seen that Yuri Matia can play good wet weather rugby. He won a game for the Stormers at the Bulls in the wet last year. So they've got enough depth at the moment at the Stormers, I think, to be really competitive in that game, particularly given that that Harlequins are in the midst of a crisis. So that's a game where I think the Stormers have a really good chance to win. If I was a betting man, I don't know if I would bet on it though, because there's that desperation element of Harlequins. They're playing at home. The Stoop's always a difficult place for an overseas team to go. And thirdly, whenever there's a storm with a name on it that hits the UK, and there is one at the moment called Getty or Guido or something. There's a big storm that's hit there this week, so the conditions are likely to be inclement. I spoke to some of the Stormers management last Saturday, and they weren't looking forward to the cold over there. So I think that's going from a Cape Town summer, and the Stormers only fly out today. Today being Wednesday, being a Cape Town summer. And then flying into minus temperatures in London is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I think that if you were going to take a bet on that game, I would sort of go on a spread thing and say, well, the Stormers probably won't lose by more than a certain score, rather than bet on them to win.
Well, the Harlequins are favoured 1.87, which means you get 87 rand for every 100 you bet back. If you back the Stormers, you get if you bet 100 rand, you get 210 back.
Okay.
So the Harlequins are coming in slight favourites.
Very slight.
Very slight.
And I would say that's about right.
Yeah. It's
I would say,
and then the
right.
betting is like half a point or 1.5 points. So it's pretty much toss 'em.
Yeah, it is. Look, it depends. Okay, so the problem is when you're sitting here in midweek, and we don't have I mean, they don't announce the teams until the weekend, and the Stormers won't even tell us what their squad is. But I happen to know that. Certainly, I know the backline. The backline is going to be, I think Hartzenberg's going to be outside centre, and Damien Willemse is going to be an inside centre. Warwick's going to be at fullback. Dylan Mart's going to come back.
Yeah.
And then at forward, they've got so many options. Holly Kebbel and Vernon Matongo at loose set. They've got Zachary Porthen, who's now a Springbok, who can play tight head, and he's not their first choice. They've got Andre Smith, who hasn't played, who hasn't started yet, or hasn't started for a while.
But the Stoop is a tough place to play,
It is a tough place to play, and particularly if you're there in Storm Ghetto or Guido or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So that's why I would be very reluctant to sort of like really nail my colours to a mast and say, listen, I think the Stormers are going to win. I've got a feeling that they might well, but there's just too many variables.
But I have to agree with you because you're getting better at this. It's like even though you don't know it, but it's there are a lot of variables. Tough place to play. I don't know what the weather's doing and who that suits.
We do. It's apparently going to be awful.
Is there going to be a backlash from the players in terms of picking themselves up for the tongue lashing they've just gotten from their CEO and chairman?
Yeah.
So you're right. There's a lot of variables and even a bet game, but the bloody thing is with the Stormers, I bet against them 1 or 2 times this year and lost, obviously, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe we see a bit more in the week. I'm not going to put a bet down on that game.
It is, yeah.
Until we advance a bit.
It is similar to the Bayonne game. I think we had the conversation before the Bayonne game, and I also said exactly what I said now. The Stormers aren't playing their strongest.
That's right, because we upset Bayonne in Bayonne, didn't we?
We upset Bayonne in Bayonne, and I remember saying to you, listen, I wouldn't want to bet on the Stormers because it's a very difficult place to play.
Yeah.
And they're not at full strength. But they ended up winning that game.
Yeah.
And actually, they were very good in that game at times.
They were so dominant in forwards.
Yeah,
so dominant.
They were. So, and they could be dominant against the Harlequins as well. So yeah, I mean, if I had a team in front of me, I mean, I do think that Ollie Kebbel's probably going to start and probably. Well, I don't know if they've taken Sazi Sandi. I mean, because he plays off the bench. When they say that we're taking an understrength team, do they mean that we're playing the reserves, or do they mean that we're taking somebody from outside the 23? I think that they're probably going to play some of their reserve players. Marcel Tiernissen will probably play. Ruan Ackerman started against the Bulls, but he's probably not the first choice. Paul de Villiers is, so he might well be going to Harlequins as well. Or otherwise, Paul de Villiers is going. If Paul de Villiers is in that Stormers team. If Paul de Villiers in that Stormers team, then I would bet on the Stormers winning. I think that guy is just so influential to the Stormers.
Well, I've put out a couple feelers this morning to the people I know just to give me some updates. So I will post a bet on this later in the week, but it's steady as she goes right now.
Okay.
You know? Sharks versus Sale, is it?
I do know what's happening with Sharks. They're going under strength to Sale, and they're the man we were talking about earlier on this. Their owner, Marco Massotti. I don't know if you saw his...
Is he playing?
Did you see his social media tweet?
No.
Okay, so he's very upset that the Sale Sharks call themselves the Sharks.
Oh, Christ.
So he came out and he said that my big wish is that we'll turn Sale Sharks into the Sale Tuna. And he says, I'll be there personally to see the Sale Sharks, something to that effect. I'll be there personally to see the Sale Sharks become the Sale Tuna. And
is he fucking mad? This guy?
I think
Yeah,
I think he was joking. But I think that's what I'm saying. Marco is a great guy. I mean, I know Marco quite well.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, but he doesn't have a feel for rugby. In rugby, you don't give motivation to the opposition.
You don't let anybody pin something up on the change room that you can get geared.
So Alex Sanderson, the director of rugby at Harlequins, has come out and he's basically said, listen, we're using this as motivation. He says, we're going to use. He says, and so if Sale Sharks weren't already motivated, they're going to be highly JP Peterson must be sitting there and thinking, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
What's the guy? He owns the Sharks, and it's his money he's putting into this, but he's motivating the opposition. And he knows. Marco must know. I don't know if he does. I know that they're going with a second-string team. And the last time they went with a second-string team to a Champions Cup game was to Toulouse, and they lost 56-19, I think it was. He knows that they're up against it if they've got a second-string team there, because they don't have quite the same depth as the Stormers. That's actually putting it mildly. They don't have the same depth as the Stormers. So outright win for the Sale Sharks there, to me. I mean, there's...
By how many points?
I reckon more than 10. Look, you see, now we don't know what the weather's going to... I mean, if it's a really driving... I mean, one of those... If it's so bad that they... I mean, I don't know, can you take a bet on whether the game's even going to take place? Because the Cheetahs are playing in Amsterdam on Sunday, and apparently there's doubts about whether the game will even take place.
Is the storm come and gone, or is it coming?
It's apparently going through there at the moment, but apparently it's going to get colder later in the week.
I'm going to have to Google that.
Yeah, maybe you have to Google that. But the Sale Shark. Okay, I suppose we could say it as a joke. I mean, the winner will be a team called the Sharks.
Yes, that's true. So the Sharks going to win this weekend.
The Sharks will definitely win, but it will be the ones from Manchester.
But I would,
because that, of course, is where Sale Sharks are based.
I would be very tempted, and I'm not saying I'm doing this. This is a bit of a flippy floppy betting show today. The Sharks are the Sale Sharks are favored by 17.5.
Jeez. Okay.
That's a lot. Hey?
That is a lot.
But I'd rather
they must know that the Durban Sharks are going there under strength then.
Yeah.
Well, they tend to in Champions Cup.
Well, I'd have to make a couple of calls and find out from because we are plugged in here. 17.5. I would probably bet on Sale
to take the 17.5.
To get the 18 and over.
If the Sharks are fielding the same team that they fielded against Toulouse, they actually put up quite a gutsy fight for quite a bit of the way.
Yeah, that's
and Nick Hatton will probably captain them, and I really rate that guy as a captain.
Yeah,
he's a youngster. He's a proper captain. It'll almost be like a Currie Cup team that JP Peterson is used to because he's coached them. So you need to take that into... So now I'm starting to think now as well. Maybe 18 points is a bit much.
I'm not making a bet right now. I've got to do more research on that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be the Sale Sharks who win.
But last year the Stormers went over under strength to an English team. I can't remember the club.
Yeah. Well, they pushed Leicester Tigers.
Yeah, that's right.
But they didn't win. But they
went with nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those guys have become somebody.
The betting started with the Stormers' favorite until I got the team announcement. Then it went out to 13 points, and I took that 13 and got clobbered.
Okay.
The Stormers put up a heroic...
It was, but that was one of Yuri Matea's first games, and it was like they were playing against a Leicester Tigers team with Andre Pollard in it.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with the Bulls versus Bristol.
I'm going for a Bulls win.
Well, of course you are, for God's sake.
And I'll tell you why, but I'll tell you why.
You don't have to tell anybody why. They're 1.12 to win.
But that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you why, aren't I?
Yeah, you are, Dad.
So the reason I'm going for a Bulls win is, one, they sort of showed some signs of progress last week against the Stormers.
Yeah.
And we know that they're going to go full strength because Johan Ackerman has said. B, they're really in a crisis at the moment, so they're going to be going hell for leather for this game. As Dobbo would say, they're going full metal jacket. And the other thing is the weather.
Yeah.
We talk about the South African teams going over into the cold. It's probably even tougher.
Yeah.
For a team to come from Bristol at this time of year in the middle of a cold snap and play at the Highveld in an afternoon game in the middle of summer. I mean, that's so
how much are the Bulls going to beat?
I reckon that they'll win by, again, 10. I reckon there'll be more than a score.
15 is the handicap, eh?
Are they saying that the Bulls will win by 15?
15, 16 or more.
Is that really what so Bulls are that strong favourites?
Yeah.
That's quite something because Bristol actually aren't a bad team.
What team are they bringing?
They're fourth in the Premiership. They're at the moment in there. I think they pool 4.
But where are they in the Champion Cup? Because
They got 9 points.
Okay, so they're going to qualify, right?
So Bordeaux,
Begler.
Bordeaux and the other team that's which is the other. Anyway, there's 2 teams on 10 points there, and Bristol are third on 9, and then there's 8 points separating them from the next place team, which is Scarlets. And
I would be very wary of the team that Bristol is sending.
That they might be sending a second string team.
They may well be.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm going to go with the 8. I think I'll go with the 18 as well. Look, I know that the Bulls are going to win.
Yeah.
It's just the spread. I would go with 18 or more. I would.
Well, no, that's 15 or more.
15 or more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would.
Yeah, no, not 18.
I would be taking 1,000 for the Bulls to win by 16 or more.
Yeah.
No.
So look, I mean, we haven't seen the Bristol team. If they send out a strong team and they determine, because remember that where you finish in your group affects your seeding and whether you play at home and that as well. Yeah. So they've also got that to play for.
Yeah.
They've also got that to play for.
Look, I'm going to take the Bulls by 16 or more. I'm going to wait on the Stormers. Not really interested in betting on the Sharks game. Sharks.
You're not.
No, I'll watch it, but it's
No, I'd bet on a Sale win.
Yeah, but there's no money for it.
Okay, I see what you say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking like that. I'm just thinking.
I can't bet $100 to win one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit depressing. But Gav, been an absolute pleasure to have you in. It's great. First of many podcasts. I was just chatting to Scott Gibbs. He's going to join us sometimes.
Cool.
Next year, and we should have a lot of fun, man.
This year. Yeah. We're in 2026.
Well, we've got to do something till July till we play rugby again, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in, bud.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim.
Cheers, bud.
Good to be here.
Yep. Wonderful. Super.
It's quite long, though.
Jesus.
Well, you could cut it.
5 hours and 30 minutes.
47.
Was it 47?
Yeah.
Because we only